What's up, guys? In today's video, I'll be making a tier list of the top 6 events in American history. Throughout American history, there have been many events with great significance that have impacted many people's lives and have played huge roles in conflicts that appeared later in history. Therefore, we will need to set some criteria before we get started. First, the events that do qualify for this top 6 need to be large in both scale and length because these events are more likely to have wider impacts on the overall human condition of the time period in which they took place. Secondly, these events need to have a significant impact on American history. Therefore, some important global conflicts will be excluded from this list due to the insignificance of their impacts on overall American history. Finally, events that directly led into or are widely considered a part of other events on this list will also not be included in order to reduce redundancy within the video. As a student who has completed the AP United States History course at my school, I believe that while my opinions should not be held to the same standard as an expert in the field, they are still quite valid and should be taken into consideration before you bash my list down in the comments. I also want to clarify before we get started that the placing of these events will be purely subjective and based on my interpretation of these events, and the resultant list will come after heavy deliberation that my editor has mostly cut out for your viewing experience. So basically, no hate in the comments. With that being said, I've had my editor curate a list of 6 events in American history, and I'll be putting them in my tier list. Alright guys, the first one to go on the tier list will be the Great Depression. During the Great Depression, many people in America and across the globe endured much suffering. This period came after the Roaring Twenties and stretched all the way into World War II. Now, I'd have to say that the Great Depression is a highly significant event in American history, but for the time being, I'll put it at 3. Moving on, the next item to rank is the American Revolution. The Revolution is undoubtedly one of the most important events in American history because it allowed the American colonies to gain their independence from Great Britain. Without this event, there would be no United States history because the colonies would not have separated from Britain. For now, though, I'll place it at 2 for in case my editor is throwing a curveball later in the list. Next is World War II. This war is of great significance to American history due to the massive loss of life in the war and the consequences that would have occurred if the Allied powers had failed to fight off the attempts of domination within their particular theaters of operations made by the Axis powers. The great investment America had in this war makes it evident that this event is monumental in American history. However, I do not believe that it deserves to be ranked number 1 on this list. Therefore, I will move the American Revolution up on this list to number 1 and put World War II in the number 2 spot. The next item on this list is the French and Indian War. This war's significance lies in its contribution to later actions made by Britain in order to recoup debts that it accrued during the war. These actions included many taxes that colonists felt were unjust due to their lack of representation in Parliament. While the war was significant in sparking the conflicts between the colonists and Britain, in comparison to the other items on this list, it is less important. Therefore, I will place it at 6 because it's likely to end up there anyway. Ooh, this one's interesting. The Civil War. Now, I already know some of you guys are going to be mad at me for where I placed this one, but it has to go in 4th. While the Civil War is unique in our history and resulted in a massive loss of life, it would be a discredit to those events above it if I were to rank it any higher. However, it must be said that this war did have several lasting effects on the United States that have persisted throughout the rest of American history, and consequently it is viewed today as one of the most infamous conflicts in American history. Lastly, we have the Cold War. This was a wide-ranging global conflict between the communist USSR and the United States. Within this conflict, an arms race, mutually assured destruction, espionage, and proxy wars were all prevalent. This event definitely has greater significance than the French and Indian War, but I would deem the Civil War to have had a larger impact on American history. Therefore, I'll place it in the final spot on the list, number 5. And that's it for my tier list today, guys. I'm definitely pleased with how it turned out, but you can let me know in the comments below if you would have made any changes if it were your list. Make sure to subscribe, like the video, and check out my links in the description where you can buy access to my review guide for the AP United States History exam. See you next time in my video where I rank the causes of the Spanish flu.